Welcome to Focus on Parliament on Civic Space TV, brought to you by the Center for Constitutional Governance. I am Kwagala, your host. With only months to the 2026 general elections, Uganda's political terrain continues to dramatically shift by the day, marked by defections, outright shows of defiance, and even new political realignments. The political landscape in Uganda evolves. On today's edition of Focus on Parliament, we explore the likely impact of this ahead of the 2026 general elections. Joining me to make a sense of this topic is a panel of distinguished personalities whom I now have the pleasure and the honor to introduce to you, our esteemed viewers. Let me start from my immediate left is the distinguished academic, Professor Mwambutsya Ndebesa, who is an eminent professor of history and a renowned political commentator. Professor, it's a pleasure to have you on the program. Say hello to the viewers.
Thank you. Morning to the viewers. I'm glad to be here in this space again to deliberate on issues of national importance and see how we can positively shape the politics and the economics of this country in the right direction.
Many thanks indeed, Professor, for joining us. Next to Professor is the lady, the only lady, for emphasis on the program. Very clad in those colors. It's a blend of red, white, and blue. Miss Sheilah Dravile. She's a member of the opposition political party, the National Unity Platform, and an MP hopeful for Mukono District. It's a pleasure to have you. Sheilah, say hello to the viewers.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers. And I'm very honored to be here as the only woman, as the only lady, and also a first-time panelist on this segment. And looking forward to the good deliberations that we're going to have today.
Thank you. You're most welcome to the program. And of course, last but not least, is a mainstay on the program, Mr. Timothy Chemonges. Mr. Chemonges is the Executive Director of the Center for Policy Analysis and the Parliament Watch. Ndogo, many thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you
to the viewers.
Thank you, Isaac. A good morning to our viewers. Good morning to the panel. I'm glad to be here. A few days we celebrated Labor Day, and it's a highlight as a country, quite a number of things that we ought to be reminding ourselves in terms of the workforce in this country, streamlining the economy, but also ensuring that the politics does not affect how the well-being of the people. Today, we see a significant gap in terms of the governance structure and how it is impacting the people. I think that we ought to continue pushing to ensure there is sanity. There is also significant recognition of citizens being part of their country and being able to own that. Thank you so much.
Many thanks indeed, Tim, for joining us, and happy commemoration on the occasion of the nation's Labor Day. But let me start with you, Sheilah. You are a member of the opposition National Unity Platform. And I think it is only last week that we had an earth-shattering declaration by your Vice President for Buganda region, the Honorable Muwanga Chivumbi. On the occasion to meet aspirants from the Buganda region, he threw a spanner in the works by declaring that members of your party who have, I think, since taken on a dissenting position from the main position of the party have been given an ultimatum of 30 days to either reconcile with the party or they will be forced out. How is this coming by, given the timing in the run-up to the 2026 general elections? Do you fear that it could break your party?
It can never break our party. For starters, we're in a political period right now towards re-election, towards the general elections of this country after 5 years that the country gives us. we are in a political dispensation as a country. Every political party right now is trying to clean up their houses. Every political party is trying to strategize on how they are going to take over power. And so there's so many strategies and things that political parties are doing, and it is not unique to NUP. The fact that we are the opposition party right now, but we're looking forward to being the ruling party, you know, in just a few months. So some of the things that happen is to strategize, like I told you, and clean up our house, okay? Every party has rules and regulations, okay? So towards an election, there's always a communication that will come up to prepare leaders, call upon leaders, those who want to come and participate in these coming elections. And we actually encourage people to take up leadership positions. That has been one of our biggest drives. Young people, come and take up these positions. Everyone who is there, it is your time to take up these positions. Even the kingdom is telling people, come and take up these positions, because we have almost taken it upon ourselves as National Unity Platform to do the job of electoral commission, civic sensitization, and teaching people constantly about their rights and what they're supposed to do. Now, in our case, what happened is we are on the spotlight because of that comment that our deputy president gave towards the Buganda, not caucus, the Buganda team. They've been moving from region to region, except for what blocked in the western region. So they started from the eastern region. There was a bit of resistance, but now we came to the central region. Now, obviously, there are some issues of indiscipline. There are some issues that, in fact, in that very meeting, we're focusing on making sure we fill all those positions that are in Buganda. All the positions of councillorship, mayors, members of parliament, including the president. And that's why he offered, when he spoke, he said, me, I am ready. I have offered myself if the party allows. Now, on the positions of MPs, we realize that there are some vacant positions. Okay?
Are they vacant?
Of course, they are vacant because the constituencies, the number of constituencies that make up Buganda are about 152 that make up the whole of Buganda region as a region. Okay. So, and we only have, I think, 52 or 57 members 57 members of parliament from the opposition that have been occupied by the opposition. Our target is to look at getting all those other positions, meaning the ones that we didn't get or the ones that we have, some may be vacant, and we need to fill in those positions. So we're actually doing more of candidate identification. So when we mention that there are some places that are vacant, indeed they are there, whether there's a member of parliament or not. There are those who came out outwardly and they say they're no longer part of the National Unity Platform, the Honorable Twaha. So that was also earmarked as vacant. Then there are other positions also which are vacant due to the behavior. The behavior. I don't want to romanticize this whole issue of indiscipline. Every party has a constitution, it has guidelines, and it has rules. If you have failed to comply, then we have so many, we have a pool of leaders to pick leaders to come and represent.
So effectively, you no longer consider those members of parliament as a part of your party membership?
They were given a timeline to come and not reapply, to come and have a word with the party based on their actions. You know, every party or every organization has a code of conduct. So our code of conduct as a National Unity Platform, we really focus on discipline. It's one of our core values.
If you don't mind,
discipline.
Is it codified? I mean, is it written down, that code of conduct?
Yes, it is.
And it has the offenses and the sanctions.
Of course, it does. We have a constitution. We have a code of conduct. We have our values, core values, and actually, if you come to our headquarters, everything is sort of displayed. So we all know how we are supposed to conduct ourselves as members of the National Unity Platform. So if you deviate from those, they have literally, the party has undeployed you and is redeploying you somewhere, and you as a member of parliament, you're outwardly saying, no, I don't want your redeployment, then you're being indisciplined. You don't expect the president now to actually assign you anything else. If the president has said we are changing the appointments of commissioners, we're relieving you, because he has that power. As a head of the political party, he has the power to deploy and redeploy based on your strength and your performance. And in this particular case, it was about performance. So you were given a particular task, or you're expected to do certain things. Like I told you, we have a code of conduct and how we're supposed to behave. We're supposed to be involved in party activities. You hardly come for any party activity. Do you still consider yourself as a party member? No, you're no longer part of the family. You see, this is the family. We have rules of engagement. You're supposed to have compulsory Sunday meals, but you never show up for any Sunday meal. And people ask you, your father actually asks you, why aren't you coming for any more Sunday meals? And you don't respond. You're not even remorseful, you know. So this is what has caused our leader, as he's trying to clean up the house and reorganize ourselves for the task that is ahead, to fill all those 150. Let's not focus on these small positions that they're talking about, but the bigger picture of the 152 constituencies that make up Buganda region. And then also the ones that are being vacant due to indiscipline, they have a right to replace those people. Why should we have indisciplined members?
Thank you, Sheilah, for your perspective. I'll return to you in a short while. Timothy, you are an observer of parliamentary proceedings and also the political processes in the country. The National Unity Platform has taken the rather bold decision to give an ultimatum to its members of parliament who have since defied the party position and directives on a host of issues. 30 days.
Issues like corruption, that we are very strong on that.
That's a major issue.
Yeah, it's a major issue. And actually, sorry for interrupting, but recently, I think yesterday, our leader of opposition, I just got to know that there were 5 members of parliament that were fidgeting to come up with a trip.
Oh yes, Tim will also have the occasion to respond to that.
Without having to go through the right channels. So that is and he called them fraud. And they're actually fraud. Yeah. So the National Unity Platform, our issues are public. We want to be transparent and accountable to the population, because we are people party. I mean, we are people power. We are people power. We are accountable to the people, and we want to give them the hope that we are going to actually manage this country based on transparency and accountability.
Thank you, Sheilah. Timothy, do you think this approach, first and foremost, is correct? Will it yield?
So first of all, I should start by saying that it's very commendable for any organization, for any entity, to extend an olive branch upon where there are differences, or upon recognizing that there is need for cohesion in an institution, political party, or any entity. Secondly, is also to emphasize that for political parties, among many other things, some of the things that strengthen a political party is one, the question of membership, being able to strengthen, organize, and ensure that the membership of the political party is clear. Members are able to buy into the vision of the party, but also ensuring that they can be able to drive and participate meaningfully in this journey. The other is around the resources, really. Political party being able to identify resources to facilitate the management of the political party, because also it's not a cheap venture. The other is around ensuring that you have a very clear structure of governance within the political party, and that there is well coordination, especially understanding that if you are in a setting like that of Uganda, where political parties are facing significant challenges both from outside the party and from within the party, then it's just fair that you are able to streamline the governance structures of the political party. Also, the other point really is to also emphasize that in a multi-party dispensation, political players, in a way and to some extent, relinquish their autonomy to the political party. and that the will of the political party many times takes the day beyond that of an individual. And so there's a sense in which political party as an institution, if the party has taken a position, and it's not just for NUP, it's also for the same position that NRM and most of these other political parties take. You go and caucus, agree to disagree within the caucus, and the majority have their way, the minority have their say. And so that's also very paramount. And then it also means that the political party has to ensure that those that are aggrieved, those feel either they have been shortchanged, they have avenues for which they can be able to address most of those challenges. I think that for NUP it is true, and it would be more pragmatic to realize that there are issues within the political party, and it's not unique to the NUP. Most political party and any other institution, differences are bound to arise.
Internal contradictions.
Internal contradictions. And we've seen in the incident when the former leader of opposition, Matthias Mpuga, upon the accusation of him receiving money, and you saw that there was a bit of friction, and that brought having some of the members of parliament taking sides. Others opted to to be on the side of Mpuga, and the others chose to follow the party position. And irrespective of how that was handled, I think is also to recognize that there are differences. There are members that are being viewed either as moles, there are members who are being viewed as having failed or disrespected the party, either as a matter of fact or as a perceived issue. And so I think that this specific call, and specifically coming from the Vice President of Central,
yes,
I think he's one person who has championed, even beyond him being on the NUP party, is one person who you can vouch for to push for cohesion within the institution. So I think for me, having observed him, having worked also with him, I take note that is one who would want to bring the party together. But beyond this, of course, there's a politics that the party seeks to realize, the politics of what this objective or what's happening seeks to achieve. Is also to ensure that there is no gray line. Is either you are the other side, or this side, as also we strategize. Because I think that for most political party, with clarity, then the party is able to reorganize itself, re-strategize, and attack, meaning be able to confront the upcoming elections in a more coordinated manner. It also means that for party and for any other institution, you just want to ensure that you're putting your cards in the place that you realize the most. And so for me, I think it's commendable. It's a commendable move, but it should be for a call for political parties, including NUP, to have mechanisms of resolving conflict.
These mechanisms are there. They are there, and we've constantly called upon all members to come back. Those who have grievances, come back.
So that's true, because you see, even when the party may say there are those mechanisms, you see, they should be reflective and they should be seen. Because you have a bigger number of members who actually seem to be viewed. You've seen the honorable member of what's the name of the former journalist
Kwagala.
He's come out very clearly saying that the party is actually targeting some of us, trying to demand for an apology.
That is not
Which apology?
true.
Which apology should we be providing? So a section of members really feel that they seem not to have recourse platform to have most of these challenges resolved. But nonetheless, I think that it calls for for a broader introspect of the party, not just for NUP, but also for the other political party, to ensure that because you see, political parties form the bedrock of any democracy, and it is within those platforms, it is within those systems that leaders are groomed, leaders are provided proper structures where they can Yeah. So that's very fundamental for me.
In a minute, Tim, before I move on to Professor, Sheilah highlighted a very important point where the leader of the opposition has come out strongly to criticize fellow members of the opposition for invoking his name in a fraudulent scheme to earn a trip regarding parliamentary work.
Yeah.
Have you been able to analyze that? Do you have any findings?
No, I've not looked at that extensively, but my comment would be that we are in a political time really, and members are running up and down to look for resources, and some of the quick areas are usually these trips, identifying money from wherever. So I have not looked at that specifically, but I think that is to just recognize that at this point in time there are so many other things that are happening that I've observed within Parliament, that members are really running against time. So everyone is trying to identify anything that but it is wrong, definitely. Involving oneself in matters of fraud or shortchanging the country is something that should be condemned. But the reality on ground is that it's happening. We discussed here last week the issue of non-attendance of members in the House. So it's just in a survival time, and members are in that time. Yeah.
Thank you, Tim, for your analysis. Professor, concerning the internal storm in the National Unity Platform, do you foresee a situation where the perceived or self-stated dissidents in the party cross the flank, join the ruling party ahead of the 2026 general elections, or form another entity altogether to challenge their former mother party?
Thank you, but maybe let me first make this statement that the National Unity Platform, if it goes by its name, it's supposed to be a platform for unity, a platform for fostering unity. And therefore, among other things or principles they should have is forging unity as National Unity Platform, a platform to bring people together. In fact, I wanted her, I thought she would even comment on her dress, which combines the different parties and brings them together. So, the National Unity Platform, as she pointed out, she says that they have a code of behavior. In fact, part of the reasons why CCM has been united and has cruised on, because they started with a leadership code. I think it was called Mwongozi, declared in Musoma. It was called the Musoma Resolution. So you get a code that spells out your ideals, your values, your norms, your principles and procedures, so that if they have, for example, a code which is codified, which is written, and which is known to everybody, you can use it also actually to deflect some issues that may arise, and maybe somebody like Honorable Chivumbi being on a platform and maybe under emotional fit, maybe emotional, and makes a statement, you can go around in order to put some cool water on it by referring to the code. What does the code say? For example, on the case of Honorable, my friend Bagara, Joyce, when she says that they have not told her, they have not
done.
What she has done and what she should apologize for, I think not actively attending party activities, if it is in the code, that's good enough. You don't have to do much. You say, but you have not been actively attending party activities, and it is in our code. But National Unity Platform is a new platform, is a new party, and maybe they are also learning on the job, because at times in politics, I'm told there are tactics and strategies. You may have a strategy of the goal and how to achieve that, the strategy to achieve a certain goal, and at times you may have to compromise at the tactical level using the military language. So they are learning, and maybe the code, if they have it and it is popular and popularized, it will guide them. Now, turning to your question as to whether some of the members may go to other parties, well, they may. It is their choice. Twaha Kagawa has already declared that he's gone, and I think there is some MP from Mukono also who has also said he's going.
Not Mukono. It should be
Those ends.
Lugazi.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't make a distinction. I talk about Greater Mukono.
Okay.
Now, the way I look at it, the way I see things and politics in NOP is that so far, there is little polarization among the supporters. There is polarization among the leaders. So if that conclusion of mine is correct, if those who will go, they will go alone. Because polarization, it seems, has not yet percolated to the followership, the followers, the supporters. It is at the leadership level, because I think the leadership has not learned how to hold together. They were initially brought together during the last elections, brought together by the desire to be in parliament, but they haven't learned how to hold together. Because to hold together, you must have certain values as a thread that ties you together. You must have a specific goal that ties you together. And so, you must be disciplined also. Even if I am in an organization and I believe that I am better off than my leader, that does not give you a license to be indisciplined or to misbehave or to have insubordination. What I'm seeing in the National Unity Platform is elements of insubordination. But you must have a discipline, even if you think you are better off than somebody, provided the institutional arrangement is that at this time, this one is a leader. So struggle following the leader, even if you know that you are better off either in knowledge or in skills, but the person is already there and is there for different reasons. For example, the case of Chagulani. He has got, in my opinion, which may be wrong, somehow he has a national appeal so far, to a certain extent, than any of the leadership in NUP. It doesn't matter whether it was around music. Politics is the art of the possible. It doesn't matter whether it was around music or being a youth or emotionally, affectively affecting the population. In terms of practical politics, he has a national appeal, a national profile, and as we talk, in the opposition, he has got an international appeal. He has got an international appeal, an international profile. So somebody else, even if you know you are more knowledgeable than him, you are more skillful than him, you are more educated than him, the fact remains that this is politics. This is not a professional job. That because you have the capacity as a professional doctor or teacher or whatever, therefore you are better off than the other. No, this is about politics in terms of mobilizing people around the name recognition. So he has a name recognition. And therefore, these other people who are his followers should listen. And when he goes wrong, they can find ways and means of tactfully advising him so that they have one leader until they get another leader anyway. So I think the problem of NUP now is about insubordination, but also there is moral turpitude, I think, around the question of Mpuga. But I think the issues are overlapping. I don't think it was purely moral turpitude that he got that money. I think there were already underlying undercurrents, which I may be wrong, elements of insubordination, which now combined with the moral turpitude, which is not easy to resolve, by the way. I think the issue, like for example, of Joyce Bagara is easy to resolve because it seems it is around insubordination, not moral turpitude. But now the other one, if you are still talking about having received the money corruptly, abusing your office, and you want to market yourself to the country, that you want to build a society around our image, and our image is in corruption, not having corruption, then it would be very hard to reconcile them. But I think for them, if they want to pursue their goals, and they are very clear about their goals, not selfishness, not wanting to be in positions of power per se, but they want to pursue a goal. Barine Songa, I think that is a Uganda, although my Uganda is still in nursery. I pick some of it, you know. Is there a Songa? Do they have a cause? You know, that is the problem of the politics in Africa, that people jump to politics without a Songa, without a cause, and then fight around the cause. You see, the commitment to your party and your commitment to your politics must be around a cause. And so when you have a shared cause, then you can always compromise, sacrifice, even when I know I'm better off than you intellectually or skillfully or otherwise. I have to compromise, provided I'm compromising for a cause, so that I can rally behind anybody when I do have a cause. When you hear people in the Republican Party in USA rallying around Trump, I don't think the Republican Party really believed that Trump was the right person to lead them in terms of intellectual abilities, cognitive abilities, but he was, I think, the only person they saw could help them to defeat the Democrats. Although now that can bomb lang and later I regret, but that is politics. But anyway, to answer your question as I complete this segment, is that yes, there are those, I think, who are itching to cross for no actually also cause reason. There is no songa other than that they disagreed with their leaders. There is no cause, because what is it that has happened has changed. Let me use the change. Even this includes those ones I have seen in Acholi sub-region. What is it that has happened in the movement? What is it that has changed in the movement that attracts them now? Yeah? Can we ask ourselves, what is it that has changed to the other side where you are going? It means where you are going is what they call transactional politics, I think. You want to you are transacted business, and you have seen that I think this customer is better. It is better to align with this customer now who is the NRM, and where you will get more material rewards than the position you are holding. So those who, the Twa Kagabos, these Mokono people and others who may be wanting to go to the movement, what is it that has changed from the NRM that has attracted them there now? And why are they moving there? That we also will talk to, will identify with their supporters, so that, crossing to me is okay, provided it is based on a songa. on that cause. And so if I'm standing for a cause, and I can see that the party I am now subscribing to is not promoting and fostering that cause, and then the other party, which I am opposed to, for some reason, is now the one promoting my cause, then you shift there. But maybe have they seen any cause the other side? This is Kagabo who returned the money in the parliament, the other corrupt money, and he appeared to be upright and principled. The same Kagabo, I heard him over the social media saying, now I have received 100 million. What's wrong with this doctor? What is in his head? A short while ago we were talking about intellect, understanding things and behavior. No. Intellectual understanding, which we call in education cognition, is different from behavior. You will find a doctor who knows that smoking is dangerous to his health. He is smoking. You will find a priest who knows that practicing pedophilia will take you to hell, but he's doing it. So the transfer from the head to the heart are two different things. So what is it that has changed in a very short time from Kagabo who returned the money and Kagabo who is now taking the money? This is transactional politics. People who are just moving in the direction like insane in a dry season. Those are the politicians we have today. Just insane and grasshoppers who are in a dry season, and you cannot easily catch them because there is sunshine.
Thank you, Professor, for sharing your assessment. Focus on Parliament now takes a short break. Do stay with us. We'll see you back shortly.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back. Glad you're still watching Focus on Parliament on Civic Space TV. In this segment, we continue the discourse regarding the internal rumblings in the political parties in Uganda and whether the concerned stakeholders are considering a crossover to join other parties, or they would opt for the option of reconciling with their mother parties and in the process facilitate internal harmony. Sheilah, let me now engage you first. Some of the dissidents in your party, especially Honorable Abed Bwanika, has come out to criticize you as lacking the capacity to entrench internal democracy. They accuse you of not having an open constitution. They said the constitution is opaque. It has been classified. It is only seen and implemented by a certain section of the leadership. How do you respond to that charge? Could it be one of the things motivating the conflict?
Well, about the constitution, yes, there's an existing constitution, but there was a revised one that we tried to gazette and it hasn't been approved by Electoral Commission. So that is not...
So which are you applying?
Of course, now we're running on the old, we're still running with the old one, but what he was, the improvements that we would have intended, that maybe he's pointing out, were already considered in the new constitution, which has refused to be gazetted and accepted by Electoral Commission to date. So therefore, there are some things that, of course, that are beyond us, but there are democratic processes within NUP. I don't agree with him. There are democratic processes within NUP.
How do you respond to criticism that in the process of selecting your flag bearers, you do not open up the democratic space for party members to have a say? You instead have some sort of secretive processes where you vet people.
No, it's
then
not
you come up with
secretive.
decisions.
It's not secretive. I think from the process of how we selected Nalukola, the Honorable Nalukola, we had different phases and different stages and phases of how we handled it. From the point of vetting, screening, and we went back to the people. That's why we constantly tell candidates, go back to the ground, because teams are sent to the ground to consult and ask, is this person there? Do you know this person? What do you think about this person? So the views actually come from the people, because we are people power. Yes. So maybe the option that he's talking about of the physical elections.
Yes, why don't you open up the process?
They are in the second constitution, which has not yet been legal. It hasn't been accepted yet. It hasn't been. The Electoral Commission is the one that is holding us in this position for not opening up the voting, allowing people to vote openly, like how the NRM is doing it. So while we're waiting for that process to be confirmed, probably in the next cycle or in the next coming year after this election, we are actually engaging people on a daily basis. Our party is it's always interacting with the people, with the voters, with the people. There's a constant interaction with people, constantly. So there's no way you can say it is being decided by a few people. So if you're claiming it was being decided by a few people, how come that all those who came out as independents, who defected from NUP, did not get votes? You know? So that shows you that our process was very thorough, from the screening to the consulting of the people, and that's what gave us that result. So I am very confident in my party that those who want to defect and go and leave the party, it's okay. The people will actually do what is right and choose the leaders that they actually believe in. Because we are in a multi-party dispensation, even the voters don't believe in disciplined leaders. They don't. It was very clear in Kawempe by-elections. We had an open process that the whole world was watching, and we selected a leader. Our people are also not stupid. They are watching the processes. So when the party position came out and said, out of the results, this is the person that won, indeed, the result spoke for itself. So our process is still democratic by and large. Yeah. So I believe that the window for reconciliation is closing, because truth be told, we have timelines. Everyone is drawing a roadmap. What do you expect National Unity Platform to do? We need to have candidates fronted for those different positions, just like any other party is doing. Given the fact that we have been blocked from having that open election that probably the NRMs are having, or we haven't had our constitution, the new one, the revised one, being considered. So we are still operating with this other one in a transparent way. In a transparent way, it doesn't matter. And those allegations they always say that people buy the card or the ticket or the flag bearership. It is not true. We are a party that is fighting corruption, and I can assure you, if there's anyone who paid money for anything, they would be exposed by now. So the issue of the people who want to leave, like Prof said, it is allowed to leave if you have a reason. So if you're being questioned in a party on disciplinary issues, moral issues, insubordination issues, I think really it is okay to part ways. Because by the time if you do not respect authority, then how are you going to respect the people you're going to represent? That means you always give diverging or different opinions based on what your people have asked you to do, for example, like the Tojikwata, was if your people, your constituents have said, we have sent you to go to parliament and say Tojikwata, then for you, you come and go against the party position. Do you understand? So anyone that does not stand with the party, then we have no business. Let's not try to be civil. If we do not stand together with the party cause or the party position, we have no business with you, because you're not going to help us. You're going to frustrate the process. We want to change the new Uganda. We are fighting corruption, and you're the very person who is getting involved in these petty things, or gross things, not even petty, but gross things. And everyone thought that would not have a turnover from the Mpuga demotion. But look what we have now. We have a capable and credible leader in the leader of the opposition.
You're in a better position.
We are in a much better position. So, I want to tell Ugandans, let's stop normalizing mediocrity or bad behavior. When we start accepting such things, then we're going to get stuck. But our party is very firm, and it is going to fight to make sure we create a new agenda for this country. We create a new goal, a new vision for this country.
Thank you, Sheilah, for your thoughts. Timothy, so we have a host of emerging political forces in the country to challenge for political power. A case in point is the formation, which has the former leader of the opposition in parliament, the Honorable Matthias Mpuga, as one of its key architects. The Democratic Alliance, together with other senior colleagues in the opposition, the Honorable Mabike, now the Honorable Abed Wanika, emerging to challenge the National Unity Platform as an opposition bloc. Do you see this complicating the political calculus for the opposition ahead of the 2026 general elections?
So I think that, the opposition is not in a very interesting place, where you have political party in the opposition competing amongst themselves instead of competing with the party in power. So it means that then it disadvantages the opposition against the party in power. So with that, it only means that as we proceed towards the general elections, and you have the opposition, they are divided, and each is pulling from their side. A section of them seem to be putting forward a fight to prove a point, to say that maybe because of the differences that could have arisen, we can still stand. But you know that in politics, really, the currency is the interest, and that where interest lies, then collision could be formed, or people could come together. And in the absence of interest, then you see that each of the parties, each of the individuals will take their way. For example, the case of Honorable the former leader of opposition, Matthias Mpuga. It's very clear as we move forward that he may not run under the NUP ticket, and he will be seeking to challenge and put a very strong fight against the contenders in the constituency. And so it is one of those constituencies that we are looking forward to seeing how the events will unfold. But the broader picture is that the opposition parties are in a weak place, at least on the view of challenging the party in power. And so I think that they may need, it could be deliberate to disorganize the opposition, because now we see others seem to be in the side of government, others are chasing their own agendas. There are those that the FTC is in total confusion. The colleagues in DP are trying to reorganize. The UPC colleagues are also here or not there. You have NUP, they're also trying to ensure that they can streamline and put their house in order. and forming part of the discussion today. And so you see that each party in the opposition is trying to make a case for itself and try to emphasize on their strength. And so the ideal would be to see these parties organized, but also for any coalition, of course, it relies on the strength of each of the members. And if the members are weak, then the coalition is equally as weak as the members are. And so I think we look forward to seeing how the general election will unfold. But as it appears, I think that the ruling party seemed, at least from what we are seeing, they seem to be fairly organized. I see that much of their structures, you see that they are already, the roadmap is already out, and they are pushing forward. As you see, in comparison to what's happening in the opposition. But nonetheless, I think that we hope that there will be sufficient framework or sufficient environment to allow for individual members of parliament and those in the government really to participate. I foresee the question that you had put to Sheilah here, in light of whether the mode of identifying candidates, for example. I think that we may want to give NUP a chance really to see, because I don't think if they have been tested on those grounds in terms of identifying a candidate, except for the few by-elections that we've had. Because you see, when you look at the previous general elections, NUP as a political party had been perceived as not formidable party to actually win. And so it's just a few who had actually thought that, trusted and said, maybe let's try this, because there were cases in court, there were issues that the leaders were pulling from each side. And so even the mode of identifying the candidates to run on different tickets came up given the context then. I think that absolutely, for us to test that clearly, we may want to observe the upcoming general elections to see how the party deals with this, but also addressing the grievances that come therein. But ultimately, I think that yes, the party should be able to focus in ensuring that they win the seats, they win their strongholds, but also for those that are aggrieved, then there are mechanisms to address the grievances that arise from there.
Tim, before I come to Professor, do you think that the stand of defiance, which is being erected by the dissidents within the party, could affect the party's performance in the next general elections, for NUP specifically?
I don't think so. I think that NUP has a bigger chance, especially highlighting from the fact that if you have your members well streamlined and well organized, the confusion at the leadership level may not have a bigger impact on the membership across the country and within the different regions. So, for example, the differences that we are seeing, let's say with Mpuga in the constituency there, I think that looking at whether he retains or there would be a candidate that NUP as a political party may want to front in that specific constituency, if the ground and the membership is still very strong on the side of the party, then you see that the few individuals may not be able to have a very strong fight against the party. And so I think that NUP still has a chance. Again, also looking, understanding that NUP, I think, with this upcoming election, may field more members at each of those positions, both starting from the presidential, the MP level. There would be more fronted for this position, and so you see that the probability of a higher number, and actually I think that most likely NUP may actually slightly increase their number in the upcoming parliament. Of course, there would be also quite a number of independent members of parliament who will be leaning to either side, but you see that most likely there will be an increase in the number of leadership levels being taken up by NU.
Thank you, Timothy, for your reflections. Professor, Timothy earlier pointed out correctly that the political parties are the bedrock for building a democratic political dispensation in the country. But judging the internal dispute resolution mechanisms of our political parties in Uganda, be it DP, be it the NRM, be it NUP, do you think we are moving on the right trajectory? Are we building or we are destroying?
Building internal democracy or building democracy is not so easy because it has its pitfalls. Is it Churchill or some other British Prime Minister who did say that democracy is the worst form of government he had ever witnessed?
It's Churchill.
Except there is no alternative. What is that statement? What he meant by that statement is that, you see, whatever you want to go to, if you try others, dictatorships, they will be worse than democracy. If you try totalitarianism or autocracy or whatever, they are worse than democracy. But democracy has its pitfalls. So you have to skillfully see how to steer through those pitfalls. I think there is a book, I don't know how many of you have read it, you may have come across it. It has something to do with the contradictions of democracy. Contradictions of democracy. The democracy has its paradox. Actually, I think the right term is paradox. The paradox of democracy. You see, democracy has paradoxes. You have to find a way of balancing them. For example, one of the paradoxes in democracy is pitting consent versus consensus. I think versus, but versus efficiency also. So you might want to have popular support and consensus on everything and consent on everything, but then you may not be effective at the same time. So you have to find a balance, skillfully so, to see that the two do not contradict each other to certain high levels and you break up. You don't always have to consult. You have to find a way also of balancing with taking some time off the belligerent groups and mediate. See, a mediator must be must not take sides. See, and a mediator is different from an arbitrator. You lawyers talk about arbitration. Arbitration needs to come at the end. At first, you do mediation, and you have to be skillful. You have to be skillful to avoid those tensions within democracy, those paradoxes within democracy. Because you might say, one of the paradoxes of democracy is that people should have freedom of expression. And you allow people to express themselves until you have genocide. Sometimes you have to limit. But again, when you limit completely, you have forestalled democracy and certain divergent ideas which were creative. So you have to find a very good balance. You know, there are those contradictions. So those are the contradictions that are within the party formations and administering themselves and organizing themselves to be a formidable force that can struggle against the party in government that has got all the advantages, organizational advantages. You see, NRM has got organizational advantages in them, for them. Organizational advantages are for NRM. They have the money, they have the law, they have the as Anita puts it, they have the maje. They have those organizations, they have national profile, they have visibility, they have organizational advantages. But opposition has political advantages. How do you take advantage of the political advantages? The political advantages we are talking about here is poor service delivery. I mean, you go to hospitals, you look at the schools, you look at pensioners who don't have their money, look at the roads, look at the potholes. You know, those are political advantages on the side of the opposition. But also there is fatigue to say, the president Museveni has been here for a long time. That is also a disadvantage for the NRM. So when you are pursuing democracy, you should also think critically beyond merely following popular consent. Popular consent, if today they asked all Ugandans to vote over whether to pay taxes or not, would definitely support not paying taxes. But is that the best thing for the country to have? You can't have a country without taxes to run government. So those are the contradictions. I think people should read that book if you want to know it academically. It is called The Paradoxes of Democracy. I've forgotten the author. But if you Google Paradoxes of Democracy, I mean, there are many people who have written about it, but there is one that very big author. So it can help sometimes to understand these contradictions and tensions. There will always be tensions, and contradictions are not necessarily negative. If handled carefully, having a cause in mind, they can be positive. We are here fearing, or the opposition is fearing, these contradictions that are arising, but at times they can be positive. Like there are contradictions in the DP. I'm talking about the oppositional side. The contradictions within DP helped to come up with NUP. And I think NUP is more of a formidable force than a DP would have been to NRM. They have got certain advantages over DP. So the contradictions in DP helped these DP people to go to NUP and strengthen it.
DP block.
Now the contradictions within FDC could now make some people in FDC come to NUP and strengthen NUP, because NUP has one challenge is that it is not very strong outside the Buganda-Busoga sub-region.
We actually recruited a lot of Busoga people.
Yeah, but I'm saying Buganda sub-region. Now beyond, you see, they had an advantage over affection, emotional attachment to Kyagulanyi. He could have done very well outside this region and got support by default, but got support nonetheless. But you see, Museveni is not a fool. He said, Kyagulanyi, you are not allowed to hold concerts. Those would have given Kyagulanyi a bigger support. He said no. That's why he's also stopping them. He can now even leave them go around Buganda region, make sure that they are confined. NUP is confined in Buganda. DP is almost disappearing. Then he confines DP to Lango, and then UPC to Lango, and then he said, you see, they are identity politics. They are identity politics. Because yes, identity politics is negative, but who doesn't have identity politics? Who? You are talking about political support around affection. It is everywhere, but that is why he's doing. So the new people must sit down and evaluate the situation and see how to maneuver without being discouraged and getting more divisions. Because when you get more polarization and the media takes advantage of it and makes it even more visible, it discourages potential supporters who would say, after all, these ones are divided, let's go. You see what happened to the Conservative Party in Britain. They fought each other. This prime minister, the following day, in a few days, he goes and the voters said, we are tired, you go. Not that the voters, it is not that the voters of the Conservative Party have left their cause, but they got discouraged. They got frustrated with the Conservative. They said, now let's try. Labour, the very Conservatives voted Labour actually. Because they were frustrated by the Conservative leadership. So some NUP members may also get frustrated and decide to give NUP is talking about a protest vote. They can also protest against the leadership because of its polarization and say, we vote NRM even when we don't support NRM. So they have to sit down and resolve the contradictions, the tensions. Of course, you can't eliminate them. The tensions will always be there. But if I were NRM, by the way, I would even allow these NUP people even to go beyond Buganda to a certain extent and campaign elsewhere. What is making NRM strong is NUP. NUP is the one which is making NRM strong. Because they go and tell people, if you don't vote us, NUP will win. And you will be under the leadership of this and this and this and that, whatever way they define them. The day there is no opposition in Uganda, NRM will disintegrate. Because NRM is also not united around a cause. Which cause? If you asked them, which cause are they united around? There is no cause other than fearing the opposition and opportunistically wanting to eat, but not that there is a cause as a thread that ties them together. Without now the opposition, if opposition was weakened to the extent that opposition had only, say, 1% in parliament, NRM will disappear. True or false? Can I give you an example? There was a very strong party, strong in quotes, in Ethiopia around Zenawi, called Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Front or something like that. By the time President Zenawi died, Meles Zenawi died, that party had 98% in parliament. It was controlling 98% in parliament. Does anybody know where EPRAF whatever is today? When Zenawi died, it died with him. Completely. And nobody mourned. Nobody mourned that Zenawi's party died. A party that had 98%, when it died, because this new guy, when they disturbed him, the Tigrian people who thought that they were entitled and they were the leaders in the party, you know Zenawi was, Meles Zenawi was from Tigray. He was a Tigrian. And the Tigrians thought that they were entitled to be in power. So when he dies, they put there a certain Hariri man or somebody like that. He lasted for only 15 months. The Tigrians said, who is this man? Because he was not Tigrian. Said, but we killed our animal. You know, we are entitled to be in power as Tigrians, as in the army, parastators, whatever. So who is this man who is not Tigrian now saying that he's a president? They started resisting him. The man said, now I don't have the army. I am not a military man. I can't do much. He resigned. He literally resigned because Tigrians who were entitled made it impossible for him to administer, to run Ethiopia. So the party now decided to bring in the current leader. This is President who?
Abiy.
And he's Ahmed. And he's a military man. And he's partly, I think, Amhara, or the mother, and then the father is this. Yeah. And he's a military man. He says, Tigrians, you think you are entitled to rule Ethiopia?
Yeah.
From today, I have banned the party. Let's see what you do. And then they ran to Tigray province to fight him. He said, you go. He removed his civilian clothes. He put on the military. He went on the front line. He defeated them. Today, there is no Zenawi's party.
Interesting comments by Professor. I hope we can all learn our lessons. Yes, Sheilah, how do you hope to respond to the current affront by the security forces against your party activities? You have not had the occasion to launch the protest vote ahead of the youth elections. How are you responding to that, even as we conclude?
Of course, there's been deliberate frustration, especially with our party from government, to prevent us from mobilizing and reaching out to the youth and pushing our agenda, and most importantly, to explain what the protest vote is about. And this is what we're going to do. But we see them, we know they're doing it, and we're not going to be intimidated. That is our position as NUP, as National Unity Platform. We are we are firmer and stronger. And of course, like in Uganda, they say, "Akugoba yakuwe kubo." Of course, we are going to devise other ways and other means of how we are going to congregate, how we are going to mobilize. And they are there. One of the ways is social media. We are big advocates of using social media. So if you stop us from meeting, even in our own head office, in our own headquarters, you come and cordon off the place. And then you restrict us from also accessing public places. And also some private people cannot give us access to their places because they fear being isolated and the repercussions, So there has been fear that has been created, but NUP we are very creative. So we are big on social media. I think we've taken over TikTok. Everywhere you go, whatever the discussions are now mobilization has taken place on social media, on X, everywhere. Even the illiterate, they will go and tweet. Is it called tweeting now? Now that it's X,
Posting.
they go and post. We're encouraging them to. We're encouraging our members, including me, to find alternative ways. Of course, the other alternatives, I cannot discuss them on air. Otherwise, I would not be a politician.
But even that one, you shouldn't have discussed it here because that is your tactic.
That one, the president is open about it. He's open about it, and he's always addressing us on press conferences. At least he's been open about it. That's why I'm also pushing.
Also. He should just act.
So there are other alternatives and other measures that we are taking, and groundwork is taking place. We must defeat this dictatorship. We must.
And replace it with what?
With change, with credible leadership. And we have already tested. By the way, we have already given a sample to Ugandans by being firm on corruption, by being non-tolerant to so many things. And I think in the 4 years NUP has been there, surely, you people need to give us credit for actually putting this government in order. Like you said, NRM is existing because of NUP, whatever. Like we came up with an alternative.
It was existing because of FDC.
You are necessary evil
we're necessary evil, and the awareness that National Unity Platform has done in this country has actually given this politics a whole different direction, and everybody is aware, including, previously we could not convince the old people. These days, the old people are embraced. They are convinced whenever they see us, especially when we're wearing berets, say, "You people, we are praying for you. Continue the course." Recently, we had a scuffle in Mukono North. We're trying to have actually a meeting with the youth, and we went to a public place. They allowed. They gave us permission. The police gave us permission, but because of the intrigue and I don't know what, out of the blue, there was tear gas, there was everything, and of course we dispersed in the community, and those people opened up their doors and their homes, saying, "You come, I know. But even if they do that to you, we are going to give you votes." So whatever they think that they are frustrating us and they're trying to cut off support from us, instead they're actually doing it for us. They're increasing support. They're increasing support for the party.
But I think certain constituencies around Kampala and in Uganda are sufficiently annoyed. And that is the support you get in return. But the other places may not be sufficiently
Professor,
annoyed.
I can assure you the Western region, if you followed the politics of the guild presidents, the institutional politics, we took over. And nobody thought that NUP could penetrate in the West. They were shocked, and now they have deliberately stopped us. That's why they stopped us from having a mobilization.
Those are universities.
But
They
young
understand.
voters, they are young voters.
Those are
But
universities.
the population is young. Prof, the population dividends, it's very clear they are young people. And now when they saw that success in the institution, we had another activity to now do mobilization and do grassroots structures. That's when they blocked us. Because from East, we're supposed to go to the Western region. But because they saw the other force that happened, because even me, I am shocked that Western region supported NUP.
But in the past,
In the past, it was a bit It was a bit
in the past, even universities
difficult.
used to be FDC.
Yeah, it was a bit difficult. But now
But
that
for the local person who is intimidatable and who is vulnerable, and they can bring salt, it's a different ball game.
Doctor, we
Dr.
have
Chemonges.
created awareness, and you're going to be shocked by the result that is going to come out in this new election that
Thank
we're going
you,
to
Sheilah.
2026.
Thank you, Sheilah, for your participation. Ndogu, your closing remarks on the program.
So I think that for me is to first of all say that as a people we ought to participate in these processes. For those who are viewing us, for those who are listening to us, I think that there is more reason now more than ever for us to participate, for us to get involved in the leadership, in the governance of our country, at whatever level. But primarily for me, my focus would be around the citizenry, being able to be involved in bringing forth the kind of leadership that we would want to see, and that's starting from the lower levels, going upwards. And I think that the Electoral Commission has not done us justice to ensure that we open up the electoral voter education and civic awareness engagements. We as civil society organizations applied. I think the Electoral Commission called for civil society to express interest in voter education, civic engagements. Guess what they did? They handed us over to CID, and that was we put the applications, I think, last year in November. Yeah, I think November coming to December. Recently, around March, starting March, we received calls. I did receive a call from CID. They called us, and we're going through together the application. Of course, they also requested for other documentations of registration and.
So you were criminalized.
So
Or securitized.
I think we're
You were
securitized.
securitized.
So yeah, the understanding.
You are a
is-
security threat.
Yeah. So why would the Electoral Commission, for purposes of voter education, hand over
What
its
criminal?
So I think it for us it communicated something very, very different. But also, even if there was a good cause, I think it is messed around the process. Also understanding the independence that Electoral Commission ideally should be having, even in identifying their partners. But the primary thing is to say that the people and the citizenry at large have the opportunity to participate in bringing forth the leadership that we want, and we can even proceed to holding them accountable as they take up the mandate.
Many thanks indeed, Timothy, for your able participation on today's edition of Focus on Parliament. I should also appreciate my other guests, Professor Mwambutsya, Ndebesa, and Miss Sheilah Dravile Amaniyo. Thanks indeed. And many thanks to the production unit for keeping us live on air. Many thanks to our viewers for watching and for your time. Please engage us on our various social media platforms. We are on X, we are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, where you can watch and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time. Be blessed.